Hi, everyone, and welcome to International Careers Week, Day 2. We are really excited to have United States Institute of Peace, Monica, here with us right now, who is the Senior Program Specialist for Higher Education Engagement Team at USIP. In this role, she deepens connections and partnerships with colleges, universities, and related collegial associations to develop the next generation of peace builders skilled in preventing, mitigating, and resolving violent conflict worldwide. She also works to raise the visibility of the nation's commitment to peace by connecting the higher education communities with the institution's resources, research, and education and training opportunities. And now I'm going to quickly show a video about what USIP is. Wait, hold on. Well, thank you so much. Monica, over to you. You should be able to share your PowerPoint.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Nikki. The sound didn't come through for me, but if it did to others, great. I'm more than happy to share that link afterwards, but I was really happy to see that there were captions. So I just want to know that we can make that link available to others. But I'm going to go ahead and share slide. And if you have any trouble with my sound, please let me know. I wanted to just restate my appreciation, Nikki, for the invitation to join the World Affairs Councils of Montana's International Career Week. It is a great pleasure to be here today and to speak with you all about my international career pathway. I'm particularly looking forward to the question and answer portion of our time together, as I'm curious to learn what you, the next generation of leaders, are interested in. When preparing for this conversation, I decided it would be more interactive and engaging to incorporate photos from key parts of my career. Through the next 10 minutes, I'll take you through 4 pivotal time periods, starting with my early years. Let's begin with the 2 flags on the left-hand side of the slide. My mother is from Brazil and my dad is from Spain. They both met at Boston Children's Hospital for their fellowship program. As a daughter of physicians, the importance of health and the belief that healthcare should be a right, not a privilege, was instilled in me at an early age. Being a daughter of immigrants also meant that I was brought into the world as a member of a global community and was instilled the importance of public service early on. Thus, you can see how the quest to bring quality healthcare worldwide became a passion for me at a young age. Having Brazilian and Spanish parents also meant that I entered elementary school not knowing a lick of English. And having my sister ask my mom, "Shouldn't we teach Monica some English before she enters school?" It was not an easy task to learn the English language, but it is through this experience that I fell in love with learning and found education as my second passion. Identifying and developing these passions have been key for me. Make sure to take some time to explore yours. Now, in addition to finding my passions, having mentors have been instrumental. The photo in the middle is a picture of my 2nd grade class, and in the back of the photo is one of my teachers, Miss F. I have remained in touch with her since 2nd grade, and on the far right is a photo of us together when I was about to be a senior in college. I had just returned from interning at an elementary school in Kampala, Uganda, and was meeting her to discuss and reflect on my experience. I had called her multiple times while in Kampala, seeking her wisdom and guidance from afar. I'm grateful to have kept in touch with Miss F, still talking to her to today, and as we progress through the slides, you'll see how cultivating mentors and long-term relationships have been a significant part of my career journey. Look for the people you want in your corner now. It is never too early. My next big chapter was my move from Los Angeles, California to Washington, D.C. for college. I studied political science and education at American University. During our sophomore year, I took education for international development, taught by Alana Lancaster. Her syllabus is the photo in the middle of the slide. This class introduced me to international education, a field where I felt I could merge my passions for education and health on an international scale. I so enjoyed her class that I went on to become her teaching assistant the following year. Throughout my time at American University, I made sure to make Washington, D.C. my lab. I sought out various internships to see what job environment best matched my interests. On the far right is a photo of Adrian and I on Capitol Hill after organizing a Hill Day for 400 advocates. Capitol Hill Days are day-long engagements where participants from across the US fly into Washington, D.C. to advocate on behalf of an issue. In this case, it was mentoring. Adrian was my supervisor when I interned in a congressional office my sophomore year of college. And just like Miss F and Dr. Lancaster, I kept in touch with her after my time was done with that office. And as a result, I got to work with her when she changed positions and went from working in a congressional office to working at a nonprofit organization. So again, make sure to nurture and keep these relationships. Send that email and grab that coffee. It does not take much. When it was time to graduate from American University, I looked to continue my education and decided to pursue a master's in international education at George Washington University. During my time at GW, I studied the intersection of health and education by focusing on girls' education. I conducted my thesis research on 5 elementary schools in Mumbai, India, and looked at how gender was addressed or not in schools' teacher training and curriculum. Throughout my graduate studies, I kept in touch with Dr. Lancaster, seeking her guidance on the next best steps academically and professionally. I graduated from GW and started working with academics to garner support for U.S. investments in global health on Capitol Hill. Fast forward a couple of years, when I received a message from Dr. Lancaster that there was a position opening on her team at the United States Institute of Peace that I would be a good fit for given my background experience. I reviewed the conflict management training for Peacekeepers program role and decided to apply. This was my chance to work once again with an individual who had made such an impact on my life. After 2 interview panels, I was fortunate to be offered the position. And this started part 1 of my journey with the Institute. The United States Institute of Peace is a public institute established by Congress 40 years ago to help prevent, mitigate, and resolve violent conflict abroad. Specifically, the Conflict Management Training for Peacekeepers program strengthens the capacity of United Nations peacekeepers in protecting civilians using nonviolent approaches. The photo on the left was taken after we had completed one of our week-long trainings in a troop-contributing country. The photo on the right is a photo of participants from our Training of Trainers initiative for civilian instructors. Now, I want to narrow in on this Training of Trainers experience because it was a pivotal moment in my career. For this engagement, participants from across 14 countries came to be trained in our curriculum and facilitation skills, with the goal of them eventually becoming one of our trainers. The Training of Trainers took place in Kampala, Uganda, and 2 days prior to our arrival, Uganda declared an Ebola outbreak, which is a rare but serious and often fatal disease. Now, as a daughter of 2 doctors, it was safe to say I was concerned. And throughout the 2 weeks, my concern did not dissipate. At the end of the program, I had to come to a hard conclusion. If this job required going to outbreak zones, I was not comfortable doing so. I needed to find a way to conduct my work stateside. It is important to note that if the fit is not right, it's okay. Pivot. Don't be afraid of change. Fortunately, not long after this experience, an opportunity arose that would combine my passion for education and peace building in a domestic setting. In March 2023, USIP established the Higher Education Engagement Team. Dr. Lancaster was recruited to be the inaugural director, and she asked me if I was interested in joining her team. Yes, please. This role allowed me to continue to do my work within the peace building field and without having to travel internationally. Our travel would be domestic to US colleges and universities, as well as conferences. And while there's a lot I can share about the Higher Education Engagement Team, I want to take a moment and showcase 2 of our programs. On the top is a picture of our mentoring program reception. This is the Institute's 7th year running the program, and this year we almost tripled in size. We have 53 students from American University, Black professionals in international affairs, George Washington University, and Howard University, who are placed in a mentoring group with 1 other student and 2 staff at various points in their career. They come together each month for engagements around peace building skills and professional development. Now below them is a screenshot of our Peace Professors community. Peace Professors is a community of practice composed of 145 professors from multiple disciplines, spanning 97 higher education institutions, 33 states, and 7 countries. We host monthly online engagements called Pastries with Peace Professors and provide a monthly newsletter called Peace Professors Periodical. As a higher education engagement team is less than a year old, I have really enjoyed the opportunity to use my creativity, to develop programming and engage with educators and students. I look forward to working with Dr. Lancaster to build and expand in the coming years. Now, in reflecting on my career trajectory, it has become clear that I have 3 Ps that guide me through my journey. First, find your passion. As a daughter of physician immigrants and a student who once struggled with learning, I found my passions at a young age, and they are so closely connected to my personal experiences. However, some people do not find their passions early on. It takes time to develop, and that's okay. But when you do, let your passions be your North Star and guide you through your professional journey. Second, find your people and create your team. People who will root for you, people who will provide constructive feedback, people who will share their wisdom and guidance from years of experience. Miss F, Adrian, and Dr. Lancaster could have been individuals who popped up in my journey for a moment's time. But instead, I invested in nurturing a relationship with them and have stayed in touch for years after our initial encounter. Doors have been opened as a result. And I am a better practitioner and human being because of that. Third, find your contribution to peace. As individuals interested in having an international career, ask yourself, how can I contribute to a more peaceful society? Peace building is multidisciplinary and spans across various sectors and fields. Find your passion, foster your group of people, and see how you can make peace possible. And with that, I think it's time for questions.
All right. Well, if everyone would like to start typing in the questions into the chat, I'm happy to read them. But Monica, I'm going to ask you your first question. Can you provide an overview of the role of peace building in international affairs and specific focus areas or initiatives at USIP?
Yeah, great question, Nikki. I think when reflecting on international affairs, that's such a broad topic, right? It really encompasses so many elements of the global sphere. And when I think about peace building, it really is focused on how to prevent, mitigate, and address conflict around the world, right? And so a world or international affairs without peace building, I think, would lead to a world that is very conflict driven and chaotic. And so I think it plays a critical part in making a more just and equitable and peaceful society. USIP does its work in three broad categories. First, we work directly in the field. We work with individuals in conflict, working to address conflict. So this isn't theory for us. We're right there with individuals on the front lines. We also look to create new options and solutions that are unique given our peace building background. And so we work with government officials and civil society organizations, as well as policymakers, to create new solutions. And then we're a training institution. We train religious leaders, government officials, civil society, women, youth on how to make peace possible. And so we're trying to strengthen their capacities of people around the world that are dedicated to creating a more peaceful community.
We just got a question into the chat here, Monica. How has your organization seen a shift in strategies used to promote peace in recent years?
I think that's a great question. I think it's critical to be effective peace builders. We have to be on top of what we're seeing today, right? And so we may have a peace building toolkit, but how effective is it if it's not responsive to today's needs? So technology is a critical role nowadays. And how are we addressing the role of technology, misinformation, disinformation today is key. Otherwise, we're completely stuck in conflict. And so I think to answer that is that we're constantly adjusting our practices based on what is happening. So we have a disruptive technologies portfolio that works on the role of misinformation, artificial intelligence right now. And so if it's Carol, I think that we're constantly monitoring what is issues today and figuring out what peace building tools are there. I would also say that there are some fundamental peace building tools like dialogue that, regardless of what is happening today, is instrumental to our work. If that answers the question, let me know.
For students interested in peace building, what educational paths and experiences would you recommend to prepare for a career in this field?
Yeah, that's a great question, Nikki. And I think I didn't study peace building, right? I studied education, I studied global health. That was my background. And yet I came into the field of peace building. And so I think the beauty of peace building is that it's so inclusive. And so I would say to explore what interests you, right? So, and knowing that you're going to go into that field. So I know that I have colleagues that have experience in social work, in business, in religion, in gender studies. They come to this field with that level of expertise. So folks who want to enter peace building, I would say, look explore various subjects and see what sticks to you, and then know, is it law, is it religion, is it education, and then know that that's how you want to enter the peace building field. But finding the subject that intrigues you will keep you curious through the ups and downs of peace building, right? Like you will need to keep the flame alive through it all. And so I would just explore as many subjects and tracks that you're interested in to then decide what you want to pursue. And if you end up picking something that you thought was initially interesting, i.e. social work, and then realize that you're no longer interested in it, it's okay. You have at least explored a topic that you found interesting at one point, and now know that you don't want to do that. So it's okay to pivot. I think that's the beauty of this field, is just how inclusive it is and how there's a role for everyone.
While doing your job, helping others, how do you take care of yourself?
That's so important. How do you prevent burnout? Is really key. I think the work is hard. The issues that we're seeing today, there's so much conflict around the world, and making sure that you're taking care of yourself is key, because that's how you're going to be able to so you're going to be able to best serve them, right? So I really think about the people in the field as who I'm here for. And so if I am not performing at my best, I can't best serve the peace builders in the field. And so whether that is grabbing lunch or dinner with friends and kind of decompressing, taking an afternoon walk right after the day is over, or talking with other colleagues who are experiencing and seeing what's happening, I think it's just finding ways to recharge yourself. But I think it's really important. And if you don't take care of yourself, then you're leading to burnout and you're less effective, in my opinion.
Can you elaborate on how you train religious leaders to promote peace building?
Yeah, that's a great question. We have a religion and inclusive societies team that would be better suited to answer that question. But I want to highlight, we have something called Gandhi King Academy online. It was recently called Global Campus. And it's an online classroom that you can take many different classes, like courses on, whether it be mediation or religion or gender studies. Has a great catalog of courses that you can take asynchronously. They've also are launching a instructor-led training series. So this Friday is a course on mediation, and it's 5 sessions long, but you have a mediation expert available that you can engage with every Friday for that instructor-led training period. And so I can more than happy to circle back and connect you with the religion team, but I would highlight that we not only work on the ground, we also provide asynchronous opportunities for individuals to get trained. And there's really no requirement to join the Global Campus community.
How much do you travel in a year?
Yeah, so that really depends. So in my perspective right now, I'm heading to Miami for a conference, but really each team's travel varies. So on the conflict management training for Peacekeepers team that I was talking to earlier, it is once a month we would often train Peacekeepers. And so I didn't travel once a month, but that was the regular nature of constantly getting on a plane, right? And so that was the beauty of having civilian trainers that were from the continent, who were hopefully located in the troop contributing country that we were training in, because otherwise we're on a flight a lot. I know that Dr. Lancaster had mileage points on many US airlines at her peak conflict management training for Peacekeepers time. So it is, you can fly often, but you could also find a way to do your work stateside. And I think that's kind of one of the takeaways that I want to show, is that you can do international affairs, you can do peace building from the US in addition to flying out, if flying out is not something that's interested.
How much do peacekeeping strategies vary based on the region of the world USIP works with?
Yeah. I think this underscores the importance of kind of localized solutions, right? You do not want to standardize peace building strategy for every part of the country. right? So I would say that they vary drastically, right? We're trying to pivot and address what that community needs, right? The international partners on the ground, and this is speaking from my opinion, is our key constituents, right? These are who we're here to serve. And one solution for someone in Colombia may be completely different than someone in Uganda, right? So we want to make sure that our strategies are responsive to their needs and their context. So I would say that they fluctuate greatly in nature.
Were there any strategies the USIP uses that were surprised to be effective means of peace building?
But I can talk to you about a strategy that I find particularly exciting and was new to me when I joined the United States Institute of Peace, which was participatory action research. So in Colombia, they have a group of youth that are participating in PAR, is how you call it, participatory action research, where these youth come together to define a research question around something that is important in their community, and then they execute the research project. And what I really love about this is that this strategy centers youth and their ability to use research as a peace building tool, but then also it challenges kind of the conventional norm of researchers going into a community and asking questions and then saying what they've seen. Now it's people who are in the community identifying a problem and researching it. So I think that that was a really exciting strategy that I learned here when I joined USIP.
How do you know you are making the right decisions?
That is that's a great question, because I think you have to trust, and you have to, a lot of times you won't have information. I'm thinking about this because there was a lot of times in the conflict management training for peacekeepers role where we had to make decisions with limited information. And you basically have to realize that this is the information you're getting. And for now, this is the information this is the information you have to make a decision. And I typically, when I was working there, Dr. Lancaster often asked a lot of questions like, what if A, B, or C? So kind of walked through various scenarios, and through fleshing out the various scenarios, you gain confidence in your decision. So I think you do the most, you do the best you can to gather as much information, and then to kind of consider various possibilities, and then you have to make the decision, and then you pivot or you adjust based on how that decision went down. I hope that.
Does USIP have internships for high school and college students?
Yeah, that's a great question. Right now, we have a research assistant program. So for students who are in the Washington Consortium can participate in this research assistant program. So it's not an internship yet, but it is an opportunity for students actively enrolled in a university to come and be a research assistant. It's a paid opportunity, and you can work with various different teams, right? So currently, the higher education engagement team is within the civic engagement and scholarship unit. And we have multiple research assistants. One is, within our public engagement team. Another one is with our grants team. So that is a great opportunity for students to get exposure. And I want to underscore the importance of internships too. Throughout my talk, I talked about how important internships are, but the more internships you can get, the various different experiences you can get. Like I interned for the World Affairs Council of District of Columbia, and that was during my sophomore year summer. And so just to get the various experiences from a nonprofit to a government institution to a non-government institution is really beneficial.
Love that. And also, just so everyone knows, Montana World Affairs Council does have internships for high school and college students. So reach out to me if you're interested. What types of strategies do you use for peace building in active conflict zones?
Really great question. So I think that I'm going to highlight the inclusive peace processes and reconciliation team. And this team kind of does its work in 4 ways: track dialogue. So that getting people together in a table and kind of going through having a dialogue on the issue at hand. They also do negotiation work. Then we have a mediator expert there as well. And then we have someone who does reconciliation. And so they're all actively working around conflict, right? The conflict management training for Peacekeepers team that I was on earlier trained UN peacekeepers that were deploying to conflict zones. And we used education as a way to strengthen their capacities to protect civilians. And so that week-long training complemented training that they received that was more tactical, right? And so this was really focusing on communication skills, conflict management styles, and then we also trained on negotiation, mediation. And so I think it's based on people's experiences and expertise and where they work in the world, the strategies they use vary.
We have another question from Carroll College. What is one soft skill and one hard skill you have found to be highly useful in your career?
Ooh, okay. In my career, I think recognizing how you are, recognizing how you are as a communicator, right? So acknowledging your communication style and learning to learning to seek for understanding, right? So approaching your disposition for being someone who's seeking to understand what's at hand and recognizing how you communicate has been really helpful. So communication and listening skills, really key when it comes to being an effective peace builder, or at least for me. Project management skills when it comes to like data monitoring and evaluation, your Excel is really critical, right? We're implementing projects across time zones and country borders. And so if you have your strong project management hat on, it really helps.
Are there specific skills and qualities that are particularly valuable for individuals aspiring to work in peace building, and how can students develop these attributes?
Yeah, so kind of piggyback on what I had said earlier about being a public servant. I think that we're all here to be in service of the community. And so to be in service, you are listening for understanding and you are approaching the work with some sort of cultural humility, right? Recognizing that you don't live in that conflict zone and that you are invested in creating long-term relationships with folks, right? Recognizing peace building is not a short-term game, right? It takes time. And so putting people at the center of your work is really important. And then when talking about skills, Nikki, I think, again, deciding how you want to enter the peace building field. Is it through regional expertise? Do you want to go ahead and become a Latin America expert or sub-Saharan Africa expert, Asia expert? Where, if that is your track, taking classes around that, knowing you'll enter peace building that way. Or is it about more peace building tactical skills? Do you want to become an expert in negotiation or mediation or autocracy prevention or violent extremism? Is that how you want to enter the field? Or as I mentioned earlier, do you want to enter the field as a project manager, right? That this is, to do this work, you need to be able to have a heavy operations background too, right? And so just exploring how you want to enter and what aligns to your interests. You can come into peace building with a complete business background. I talk about this all the time. We can't do our work without contractors, and the grants and contracts team enables us to be able to do our work. And so I see them as peace builders. Our event teams at the U.S. Institute of Peace are peace builders, right? So I think it's just figuring out what type of skill you're excited most about and then exploring that further.
What is your best advice for networking and finding connections in this field?
Yeah, networking is key. I think that a lot of people dread networking, but I think it could be your biggest asset. And as students, people want to engage with the students and they want to help you out, because they tend to have been students themselves too, and they know what it's like to be in school and try to get a job, or be in school and try to get some like firsthand experience. And so I think don't be scared to cold email folks. The amount of cold emails that I have, meaning I don't know that individual, but I'm reaching out to them to say, I've liked their work. Can we meet for a coffee, or can we do Zoom? I think the beauty of us going more like teleworking, and a bright side to a really awful pandemic was the ability to do Zoom chats more frequently. That has become mainstream. So I think when it comes to networking, don't be scared to reach out to someone you don't know. And people are going to be excited when they see other people interested in their work. And then maintain in touch with them, right? So Adrian, Miss Beth, and Dr. Lancaster, I kept in touch with. So one email and one chat can only go so far. It's really key is to keep it through, carry it through multiple years. But it's so important. And kudos to getting networking out in high school. I really think it's key.
So this is a really good question here, Monica. And before I ask it, I want you to know your invitation is always available. But will the USIP Higher Education Engagement Team be visiting Montana anytime soon?
I mean, I would love to. If I got the powers, absolutely, yes. It's something I need to clearly ask Dr. Lancaster before doing so. But our goal is to be out in the States. I think that Dr. Lancaster and I think are in the same approach, that the people are what drive the work, and meeting you all at your institutions is really exciting for us. Dr. Lancaster has been in various states since March. So I joined the team in August, but she's been there since March and has been to Iowa, Tennessee, Chicago. And so I am hoping to join her tour and make a stop in Montana. But
I would like to also state that USIP has visited Montana twice on behalf of the Montana World Affairs Council to do teacher workshops, student workshops, but also we've had people that are senior experts in different fields come and do road trips with us to different communities and different schools. So we always are looking forward to our next USIP road trip throughout Montana. And then Monica, I just have one more question for you. What advice do you have for students who are passionate about promoting peace and aspire to work in the field of peace building, particularly with organizations like USIP?
Yeah, in reflecting on this, I think what's really key is not to get discouraged. We're seeing a lot of conflict around the world, right? And it's easy to get discouraged by just looking at the news headlines. And so I think it's really important to find a way to keep the hope alive and to celebrate the micro wins. As peace builders, every action we take is contributing to making peace possible. And so as individuals who are looking into the field, just know that you'll be creating a difference, even though you may not see it right then and there. Everyone plays an important role in peace building, and there's a role for you. And the more peace builders there are in the world, the better. So.
Well, thank you so much, Monica, for joining us today. And quickly, I just want to say thank you to our International Careers Week sponsors at the Dennis and Phyllis Washington Foundation, Humanities Montana, Clearwater Credit Union, and Stockman Bank, and to our very, very good friends at United Institute of Peace. Thank you so much for joining us today, Monica.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.